Hello everybody, I am the Dire Duck. Well, that was quite the episode of the Amazing Digital Circus now, wasn't it? A lot of things were set up again, but was it really worth the wait? But before we answer that, what actually happened during this episode? Let me just give you the CliffsNotes version of the episode's events, if for some reason you decide to watch my tiny little video before the actual episode itself. The episode begins with Kane trying to organise some trust exercises with the cast while he prepares the favourite character awards. But it quickly derails into Kane giving up and making them all do a battle royale with guns, just like the episode stated, with the team being Pomni and Jax versus Kinga and Ragatha versus Gangle and Zubul. During the battle, we get insights into each character's psyche, with Gangle explaining her insecurities, Kinga showing off his additional knowledge of the circus, Ragatha's biggest fears, and Jax's supposed worldview. Interestingly enough, Pomni also decides to LARP a villain arc for fun, which is encouraged by Jax.
It's kinda cringe.
Though, in the end, their team, named the Bad Guys, ends up winning, but Jax ends up doing what he does best and acts like a complete arsehole to Pomni,
Did Kane just say ass?
pushing her away. The final act of the episode takes place at the awards show, where Jax almost ends up abstracting in the toilet.
Jax vs. Skibbity Toilet Epic Edging Battle!
But, apart from that, the rest of the show is just played for silliness. But, we do get an end credit scene where Kane looks at the amount of votes he got, or well, the lack thereof, leading to him glitching out, let's say, which sets up his crash out in a later episode. And that's the end of the episode. Now, I know I missed out a lot of details, but we will get to them, don't worry. So then, what do they actually think of the episode? Well, it's a bit in some areas. On the one hand, this episode does have a lot of very interesting character introspection, giving us a lot of emotional and almost therapeutic sessions with our cast. These moments, I'm sure, were very touching for a lot of viewers.
What?
There are also a lot of very neat visuals, like the gun battle in the dark between Kinga and Pomni and Jax. So, on those fronts at least, the episode is really good. We continually see the show creep ever closer toward the inevitable crash out of our cast, particularly Kane, as it is very clear that big things are going to happen next episode, with all the pieces that are being set up by Gooseworks up until now. But that's just the thing, it all just ends up being set up. And personally, I was expecting this episode to be the one where everything goes nuclear, but that is simply just not the case. Not even at the end of the episode, where you would really expect something like that to happen. We almost got that, with Jax nearly abstracting, and Kane clearly going a bit glitchy, but we never quite get there. We do get a lot of hints that a moment like that is coming, but to be fair, we've also been getting those since episode 1, so it's not like it's particularly unique. The best way I could describe watching the plot of the Amazing Digital Circus unfold is like watching a car crash in slow motion. It's very obvious what is about to happen, but it just takes forever for the car to actually reach the crashing point. My main issue is that it's pretty damn obvious at this point where the overall plot of the show is going, and where each character is going to develop from here. But the show chooses to take its sweet time actually getting there, constantly teasing us with the thought that the next episode will be the one where everything ends up blowing up. But we never seem to actually get there. To be clear, this is not me saying that stuff doesn't happen in the episode, far from it in fact, but the overarching plot of the show is painfully obvious at this point. But the pacing of the show means that we'll be waiting forever before we finally see how it all plays out. Funnily enough, this show has the opposite problem to Murder Drones. While in that show, the pacing acts like it's just snorted a line of cocaine, while in Digital Circus, the pacing acts like it's just stuck itself with a needle full of heroin. Or, to be PG about it, a needle full of stupid sauce. Now, for some, the pacing might just be fine the way it is. And to be honest, if I was watching each episode in the series back to back in one big sequence, then maybe I wouldn't be bothered by it so much. But considering the fact that we had to wait 3 months between releases, the slow pacing really ends up getting emphasized. Though, to be perfectly honest, I do have a feeling that my view on this will soften over time as more episodes are released, and we have the complete story laid out in front of us. But, something we do have to remember is that this series is only 9 episodes long, meaning we only have 3 left. Therefore, if the show isn't careful, it will end before all this build-up actually has a chance to pay off. And that's just the thing, this show has been endlessly building up to the inevitable Kane crasher and abstractions. So if the show doesn't nail the execution of that inevitability, then it will be in deep trouble. But on the flip side, if Gooseworks is able to pull everything together, then all this build up will hopefully pay off in a very special way. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Rolling back to the events of the episode for a minute, can I ask you all something? What is really the point of the awards show? What does it achieve? I mean, I guess it does show Kane's deteriorating sanity, but that is something we already knew about and were shown. It just feels tacked on, and honestly, could just be removed entirely from the episode. I suppose it was an interesting way to get the audience to interact with the show, but our votes never really amounted to anything and were rigged from the start. Imagine watching this segment a year or so later, well after all that voting shenanigans has ended. Does it provide any value at that point? Speaking of the awards show, the series does throw us an interesting curveball by making Jax the one that nearly abstracts, instead of Ragatha, like everyone predicted. Kinga really did come in clutch there with that therapy. While we're on the subject of Kinga, we can now see that he has the ability to spawn stuff in the circus, which all but confirms that he was a former dev on the game, like a lot of people theorized. It does make you wonder how he got stuck in this game to begin with. I wonder if we'll ever find that out. Pivoting to Jax and Pomni, it seems that the Funny Bunny ship is well and truly dead. Though I will say, Jax's rant to Pomni was pretty crazy to watch. Though, if you couldn't already tell by the face in Jax pulled throughout the whole thing, he clearly doesn't fully believe his own rhetoric. Which is why he almost abstracts later on in the episode. Clearly, he doesn't want to get close to anyone and he fears he'll end up causing them to abstract like he clearly did to his old friend Ribbit. Jax clearly wants to spare himself the emotional torment of going through losing another friend he was close to. So, instead, he tries to make everyone his enemy so he doesn't have to worry about them. It is not the healthiest way to deal with a problem like that, but to be fair, if the whole cast dealt with their issues in a healthy way, then we wouldn't really have much of a show now, would we? Overall, I think this episode has a lot of great moments, but it is also unfortunately the point where I think the pacing of the show starts to annoy, which prevents me from rating this as highly as the previous two episodes. But anyways, what did you think? Was the episode worth the wait, or should the show really be getting on with its plot already? Let me know in the comments section below. Also, please do show support for this video by liking and subscribing. It really does help me a lot. But with that, we have come to the end. I'll see you at the next video. Bye bye!